The Mongol armies of the 13th century wiped out nearly every empire they touched, but when they reached the borders of India, their horses met an immovable force. Alauddin Khilji crushed the descendants of Genghis Khan and secured the throne of Delhi. Yet, just years after commanding hundreds of thousands of men, the most feared sultan in India lay bedridden in a single dark room. His body was swollen with disease, his mind fractured by paranoia, weeping in total isolation. Curious, slightly hushed, how does the architect of a sprawling military machine end up entirely at the mercy of his own servant? 4 years after Alauddin's death, his empire was gone, not because the Mongols returned, but because the internal rot he cultivated finally consumed the palace. That rot traces back to a singular moment in 1296, on the quiet banks of the Ganges River in Kara. Alauddin summoned his uncle, the ruling sultan, Alauddin Khilji, who loved him, to a meeting. Jalaluddin arrived unarmed and stepped forward to embrace his nephew. As they hugged, Alauddin's soldiers stepped forward and plunged a dagger into the sultan's back. Alauddin paraded his uncle's severed head on a spear, then marched on Delhi, scattering gold and silver coins into the streets to buy the silence of the public. He took the throne, but he also took a permanent lesson with him. If he could kill his own family for power, his family could do the same to him. To maintain a stolen throne, Alauddin projected unrelenting violence outward. His first targets were the Mongol hordes still threatening Delhi from the north. He ordered the construction of Siri Fort, a massive military citadel designed to serve as a physical and psychological warning to any approaching invaders. These walls were built from rough, imposing stone, forming a ring around the new capital. Tradition claims the mortar held a darker secret. The severed heads of thousands of captured Mongol soldiers were physically built into the masonry of the fortress. Terror became his only system of governance. It neutralized the Mongols, but it also forced the Sultan into a state of deep, permanent isolation behind his own defenses. He then turned his massive armies south, targeting the fiercely independent Rajput kingdoms of Rajasthan. He launched enormous, resource-draining sieges against massive, isolated strongholds rising out of the desert rock. At fortresses like Ranthambore and Chittor, his army surrounded the walls for months, trying to starve out Rajput warriors who refused to surrender. Faced with defeat, thousands of Rajput women threw themselves into blazing pyres rather than face capture. This ritual, known as Jauhar, was the ultimate rejection of Khilji's rule. While these victories expanded his map, they proved he could only command through total destruction. He ruled the territory, but he had no allies. In 1299, a raid on the markets of Gujarat brought a new figure into the Sultan's court, a slave named Malik Kafur, purchased for 1,000 gold dinars. Kafur rapidly rose to become the Sultan's supreme military commander, leading campaigns that breached the untouched wealth of South India. He returned to Delhi with endless caravans of looted gold and the legendary Koh-i-Noor diamond, making himself the most powerful man besides the Sultan. But as Kafur's influence grew, Alauddin's health failed. Struck by a severe case of dropsy, his body swelled painfully, leaving him bedridden and unable to govern. Kafur took control of the Sultan's bedside. He whispered that the royal family was plotting a coup, convincing the dying Sultan to blind his own sons and imprison his wives. By the time his borders reached their maximum extent, Alauddin had systematically removed every family member who could have protected his lineage, leaving him alone with the one man who would destroy it. In January 1316, Alauddin died in total isolation. In the palace, many suspected Kafur had poisoned him or simply left him to die without medical care. Kafur immediately placed a 6-year-old child on the throne to rule as a puppet, but his reign lasted 35 days before Alauddin's loyal bodyguards stormed his room and killed him. Alauddin's surviving son, Mubarak Shah, took the crown. He soon descended into a spiral of madness, handing total control of the state to a new favorite, Khusro Khan, a man who deeply hated the Khilji family. In 1320, Khusro Khan's soldiers violently breached the royal chambers in the middle of the night, seeking final vengeance. They decapitated Mubarak Shah and threw his head into the courtyard. To ensure the family could never return, Khusro Khan executed the remaining heirs and distributed the royal women among his soldiers. Without the terror of Alauddin to hold it together, the dynasty fell apart in 4 years. The same violence Khilji used to take the throne had finally turned inward, erasing his bloodline from history.